We are here to discuss the Sparx Sharpener 3 and what's new about it versus the Sparx Sharpener 2. The first thing that you're going to notice in Sharpener 3, in the two different versions, the Pro model and the consumer model in the back, are going to be the customizable lights. It's the first thing everybody notices when they see the Sharpener 3, is that you're not going to have just an orange case LED or a green complete LED. Now you're going to be able to choose any kind of lighting you want, and that's going to be delivered through a Sparx app, which we'll touch on in a second. The next thing that you would notice physically from the outward appearance of the Sharpener is there's been some ergonomic changes. We've changed the locations and the grip size for the latches that allow you to access the inside of the Sharpener. We've changed the position and the feel of the clamp cam on the left side, the paddle that you use to put the skate into the Sharpener. That's now larger and it has like a soft touch silicone feel to it. The next thing you're also going to notice is that we have a full color LCD display on the unit. So in the past, where we had like an LED kind of indicator display that was, you know, it served its function, but it didn't have the richness in the features that this display does. This display now gives you grinding ring life in a percentage instead of the little characters that used to be on the previous display. Some other additions to this product are, with the new display comes expanded, as an example, expanded selection of the number of cycles that you do. In the past, you could choose up to 10 cycles, and now you can choose very fine adjustment there all the way up to 20 cycles. That's a segue now into what's inside the Sharpener. So inside the Sharpener is really where the magic happens and where we start to see and introduce entirely new paradigms in skate sharpening. This is BEAM that's in front of me, and this stands for the Blade Edge Accuracy Measurement Device. BEAM is part of the integrated sharpening experience in Sparx Sharpener 3. The first thing you're going to notice when you get Sharpener 3, there's no alignment tool anymore. There's no looking through the optical lens and putting on an alignment ring. That has now been obsoleted. Now, to align the Sparx, you use the laser precision of BEAM to align Sparx when necessary. When necessary is because Sparx now comes from the factory perfectly calibrated and aligned. We've been in this business for 10 years making skate sharpeners, and one of our observations was no matter how accurate we made our sharpener, the customer, be it an NHL equipment manager down to a consumer, has a desire to use an edge checker or something like it to verify the accuracy of your skate sharpening. We recognized that and decided to reinvent the edge checker, to make the edge checker easy to use, intuitive, and then what was really amazing in this development is that we've integrated the edge checking into alignment of the sharpener. Now, when you get done sharpening your skate, you check it with BEAM. If BEAM tells you that this sharpener needs adjustment, BEAM tells you exactly how to adjust your sharpener. And what's even more exciting is that BEAM works with every generation of Sparx sharpeners going back to the original Generation 1 machine. So if you have a Generation 1 or Generation 2, you can upgrade with BEAM to have that integrated sharpening experience. So what is BEAM and how does it factor into the integrated sharpening experience? At Sparx, we came up with an improved traditional edge checker years ago in a desire to make the edge checker more accurate. Even though we made the edge checker more accurate, it's still difficult to use. You have to install it precisely on the skate. You have to put a tilt bar manually on the skate blade. Then you have to interpret the lines on the sides of the edge checker to measure how far off one edge is to another on your skate blade. And then what do you do with the information once you have it? If you can see that your edges are off, one edge is higher than another, where do you take that information? How do you adjust your machine to make your skates perfectly level? That was a question that we attacked with BEAM. So BEAM works by having an integrated tilt bar in the unit. You mount BEAM on the skate blade. There's a laser inside of BEAM which bounces light off of the tilt bar, reflects it onto a sensor, and measures edge to edge height difference down to 1/10,000th of an inch. That's 1/40th the thickness of a sheet of paper. With that measurement, Beam and the Sparx app calculate exactly what the adjustment needs to be on your sharpener in order to get perfectly level edges. Your edges should be level, but one of the things that we discovered in the 10 years of making sharpeners is that the skate blades themselves are an ingredient in precision skate sharpening. So in order to account for any dimensional inaccuracies in the skate blades, the skate blade has to be measured after it's sharpened and then the machine precisely adjusted for that specific skate blade. Fortunately, most skate blades made today are made precisely and your sharpener will give you perfectly level edges every time. You may encounter a skate blade that doesn't behave properly. Beam will read those edges and tell you specifically and easily how to adjust your sharpener to get perfectly level edges for that specific skate blade. Once Beam takes its measurement, it gives you precise, easy to understand instructions on how to adjust your sharpener to get perfectly level edges. That will be in the form of a recommendation, which is turn your adjustment device 2 clicks to the left, and Beam will also tell you in the app how many cycles you will need to do with the chosen radius of hollow you're working with to get the edges switched from your current amount of levelness to perfectly level. So there's no more guessing, there's no more trial and error to get your sharpener to give you perfectly level edges if your skate blades are modifying the sharpening to be not perfect. The origin of this product has been all of the years of following our social media channels, Facebook, YouTube videos that we've produced, where people will say, I've got my sharpener, it's perfectly aligned. Every skate I'm sharpening works perfect except this one pair of skates and my edges are not level. How do I adjust my sharpener to fix this? Beam solves that problem simply, easily, with easy to understand instructions, 2 clicks to the right, 4 cycles, and your edges will be perfectly level following those instructions. That's something that we've done to create the integrated sharpening experience that includes edge checking. Everyone needs to be checking their edges with a third-party device, something that tells you whether or not the sharpener and the skate blade and the edge checker are producing perfectly level edges. Beam's accuracy is it's able to resolve edge-to-edge height variation to 1/10,000th of an inch. That is 1/40th the thickness of a sheet of paper. And to put that in perspective, that would be equivalent to taking a sheet of paper and dividing it into 40 sheets of paper that add up to that single sheet of paper. That's how accurate Beam resolves edge-to-edge height variation. In the integrated sharpening experience, the Sparx app plays a huge role. So the first thing you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to customize your sharpener. And where this is important is if you have a team that you play for and there's a sharpener, say, in the locker room, and then you have a Sparx at home, on the app you're going to be able to identify on the list of sharpeners that are in your profile, you're going to be able to identify your sharpeners by the color. And so when I get my sharpener, I can set the color and I can choose. I have a full range of colors that I can choose from. I can design my own color, and then I can name my sharpener and I can name the sharpener's location. And that's going to allow you to really personalize the sharpener for your use. The next thing that you're going to be able to do with your Sparx app is you're going to be able to adjust cycles on the sharpener. So you're going to be able to set the entire sharpening up. The Sparx sharpener now knows what grinding ring is installed on the sharpener, and grinding ring life and filter life are displayed on the app. Because the sharpener knows the grinding ring that's on there, we pair that up with player profiles, which are also stored in the Sparx app. And so if I'm sharpening my son's skates and he is a 1/2 inch radius of hollow skater, and I've got a 5/8 on there from sharpening my skates, if I attempt to start that skate sharpening on my son's skates, it will alert me and say, do you know that those skate radius of hollows do not match what you have as the stored profiles. So lots of added features around player profiles, customization, settings on the machine. And this also paves the way towards alerts. So one of the things that you get with the Sparx app is a calendar, and it will alert you. You can set it, it's fully customizable, 24 hours, 48 hours before your next game. Hey, it's time to sharpen your skates. And you'll get that push notification right there on your cell phone, letting you know in your hectic daily life, oh, I have to remember to sharpen my skates when I get home. That push notification will now be sent by the Sparx app directly to your phone. Another big advancement with the Sparx Generation 3 is faster read times of the grinding ring. In the past, when you loaded a grinding ring or you made some adjustments and you lowered the head unit back into the base, the grinding ring would take a few seconds to read. It now reads instantaneously. Another huge advancement in Sparx Generation 3 is that the app, BEAM, and the Sharpener can now be updated. The firmware that's running on all these devices is now updatable over the air instantaneously. If you get on the Sparx app and there's a new Sparx firmware for the Sharpener, it will prompt you to update that firmware. And what's cool about that, just like say a Tesla, is we are going to be advancing the Sparx machine to give more features out over time for the Sparx Sharpener. Those will come to you while you're sleeping. You'll wake up and your Sparx Sharpener is now able to do more features and functions than it was able to do the previous day. Same goes for BEAM. Another cool thing about the app, in the past when you started a skate sharpening and you were sharpening your skates, you would know how many cycles were left, but you'd have really no idea how much time remained for that skate sharpening. Now, the Sparx app is going to give you the amount of time that remains down to the second for that skate sharpening. And from the app, you can alter the number of cycles. For example, if you're sharpening your skates and you've got 6 cycles on there, and you realize you have to leave for a game, you can look and you'll see that there's 6 minutes left in that skate sharpening. You can say, okay, lower it down to 2 cycles, and the app will automatically adjust and say, you have 1 minute and 45 seconds left on that skate sharpening. And the app will alert you when your sharpener is complete. So you can monitor the progress of the skate sharpening remotely from your app. Another benefit of the app is, in the past, if you were to get an alert from the machine where the machine turned red and told you you had opened the door during a skate sharpening, or your grinding ring was consumed, or your filter life was complete, we would provide a code telling you what that alert was. That code was something that you'd have to look up in the manual for the Sparx Sharpener. Now, when you get an alert from the Sharpener, it gives you a full alert description right on the Sparx app, tells you how to resolve it, typically has arrows pointing to where in the machine that alert is coming from. So anytime the machine now is giving you an alert, the Sparx app helps you resolve that alert and get back to sharpening. Another feature of the Sparx app is the grip glide match. We get tons of questions from customers around what's the best radius of hollow for me. Now the app will walk you through, asking you your height, your weight, your position, your ability, and it will actually give you back a recommended radius of hollow for your skating for best performance. And it will also give you a recommended hollow if you want a little bit more grip than that nominal recommendation, or a little bit more glide. And you can actually toggle between getting fire ring recommendations and not fire ring recommendations. So all of that guesswork around picking your radius of hollow is taken care of by the Sparx app. Once you get your recommendation, you can go right from there to your Shopify account as well on the Sparx store, and it facilitates easier selection of your grinding rings and checkout from the Sparx Hockey Shop. We talked about player profiles. One of the really cool features of Sparx, one of the ones that I'm most excited about, is in a family where you have your skates and your kids' skates and maybe neighbors' skates, remembering what radius of hollow, what grinding ring you want to use on every one of those people's skates that you sharpen is now made super simple with QR codes. So with every skate sharpener, you're going to get a pack of QR codes that are stored in the cloud at Sparx. And when you put those QR codes on your skates, and scan them and associate them with your player profiles, you can store all of the information associated with that skater that's on your app. You can store their skate type, their blade type, their chosen radius of hollow. The app also tracks how often you're sharpening your skates, and you can set up alerts just on skate sharpening alone, where you can say, remind me every 2 weeks to sharpen my skates. And then there's no more guessing. What radius of hollow does my neighbor use on his skates? You just grab the Sparx app, you scan the QR code, it'll pull up that player profile with all of the information. And again, if you load those skates in your sharpener and the radius of hollow in the machine doesn't match what that player wants, the app will alert you and get you set straight, get you the right radius of hollow, sharpening those skates to perfect accuracy. One of the last features I want to highlight is customer support on the app. In the past, if you were setting up your sharpener or you were doing a sharpening and you ran into a problem that you couldn't resolve, you had to go to your computer and get onto email or try to call us. Now it's all integrated in the app. If you're stepping through a process or something's not making sense and the app can't walk you through resolving that, you can immediately go to customer support and contact us. If we're on live chat, that live chat will come right up on your phone and you can interface with us live and help you resolve any problems you have with the Sparx sharpener. Now I want to highlight the differences between the Sparx Sharpener 3 Pro and the Sparx Sharpener 3. Sparx Sharpener 3 Pro, first and foremost, is much easier to fast swap in between the two bases. We have a home base unit, which has the glass and it sits up higher and it's easier to access everything on the inside of the sharpener. And then you have your travel base, which comes with the standard Sparx Sharpener 3. It's now super easy to swap in between those bases. It's Sparx Sharpener 2 that required hardware and tools. Now it's all able to be done by hand very quickly. That's a huge advantage. With the Sparx Sharpener 3 Pro, you get expansion ports on the side of the base unit. It's basically a pattern of screw threads that the makers and the creators out there can create accessories for the Sparx sharpener, and we give you attachment points on the machine. And so this allows you to create phone mounts, mounts for beam, mounts for grinding rings, mounts for tools, mounts for deburring tools, mounts for skates. We want to open this up to the maker community and let people go wild, creating all sorts of cool accessories for Sparx that mount right to the base unit of the Sparx sharpener. With the Sparx Sharpener 3 Pro and the new attachment points that are much easier to use, you can now fully open up the head unit and the door, which provides much greater access to the inside of the Sparx Sharpener 3 Pro to clean it out. The last thing that I want to highlight, with those expansion ports, we've created a mount that holds a tablet that you can put onto your Sparx Sharpener 3 Pro so you can operate beam and the sharpener from an integrated tablet mounted right on your sharpener. So that concludes the upgrades in the Sparx Sharpener 3 Pro and all of the highlights of Sparx Sharpener 3 over the previous generation Sparx Sharpener 2.